As we came into the stars we rise.
This is Astrology Aesthetic, where you claim your power and remember who you really are. I'm Kiki, and together we'll work with the stars to guide the way. Hey Starseed, welcome back. So today I'm wearing my Zodiac Pals Sage the Scorpio, even though it's Aries season, simply because what we're talking about today is human design authority types. And this is more, I guess the reason I chose Sage the Scorpio is because we are taking a really deep dive and likely charting some unknown territory, and it is very, emotional and personal, and she's just the perfect one for the job today. So I want to start off with, if you're not familiar with human design, that's totally fine. I'm honestly still learning a ton about human design as well. But one thing I do know, and frankly have all of my friends learn about themselves so I can also learn, is their authority type. And I'll drop a link below so you can click on like a free human design chart, and it's gonna spit out like a chart mapped on a body because it's astrology mapped out basically on the body. And what's really cool about it is, in my opinion, it will show you things that astrology wouldn't, if that makes sense. So like the birth chart can unlock and reveal certain aspects. Human design charted out on the body, it just explains it in a different way. So it's like the same family, but same but different. So with authority types, what you're going to do is when you put in that info, you need the same info. So birthday, time, place, and it's going to map that out for you. You're going to scroll down. There's going to be a bunch of stuff I'm just going to have you ignore, and you're going to look for authority type. And there are actually 7 authority types. We're going to go through each of them today. So if you don't already know, go ahead and figure that out and then come back and we'll talk through it. So the first one we're going to do, let's see, what one do I want to do? I'll start with emotional. Okay, so, well, first of all, there's 7 types. So let me share what those are. It's emotional, sacral, splenic, ego, self-projected, mental, also known as environmental, and lunar authority types. And we're just going to kick through them one by one. And this is kind of the same thing I've been talking about and saying regarding the other zodiac signs. So just because I'm a Virgo doesn't mean I don't have Scorpio elements. Just because my friend is a Taurus or my sister is a Pisces doesn't mean they don't share those elements. And the other piece of that is when you better understand, say Taurus, Pisces, Scorpio, whatever it is, you better understand how these people show up or how that element shows up in your life. The same is true for authority types. So authority types come specifically for decision making. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, I've actually been kicking the can on this topic for some time just because it hasn't felt right, and I'll dive into my authority type later. But authority types they're just like one of the best tools, in my opinion, to learn how to make decisions, trust and rebuild that trust in your intuition, because if you're like anyone, your intuition has likely been, I guess I don't want to say silenced by society, but it's been somehow environmentally affected, and the large possibility that there needs to be some rebuilding of that trust in self. And I also love knowing it because I love knowing what my friends' authority types are. Because if I am a, gut feeling type of person and I can kick out an immediate yes or an immediate no, but my friend needs to sleep on it to best make a decision that's in alignment for them. It's great for me to know that, so I'm not pressuring them and giving them the space that they need. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So as I just mentioned, the first one we're going to do is emotional authority. So these are the sleep on it people. And I really applaud emotional authority types because if you're familiar with chakras, these are ruled by the solar plexus. So it comes from your stomach type of vibe. That's where the solar plexus is. It's the yellow chakra. And this is actually the most common authority type. If you didn't know, it can also be one that most people tend to struggle with. And so the main thing is these people are not here for instant clarity. Their truth unfolds over time. So they operate on a really high emotional wave. So it's like everything feels exciting and aligned and like an absolute yes. That's a high. And if it's a low emotional wave, it's everything feels wrong, heavy, like a no. And the neutral is calm, clear, and grounded. But none of those moments hold the whole truth for them. The clarity comes after they've moved and ridden, like they rode the wave. And the best thing for them to know is that their truth is not in the now. They have to feel it, okay? And if they make a decision in a high, they can find themselves overcommitting. If they make it during a low, they miss other opportunities that could have shown up or would have shown up with actual alignment. So what does correct decision making look like for these starseeds? So they'll feel something or an opportunity will come up. They need to wait and revisit it later. So if in that moment it can be like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. They need to wait an hour, sleep on it, whatever, till that emotional peak has passed. And if they later feel, do I still feel the same about this? Like, yeah, that's a yes, or no. So what it looks like over time is it's not, let me think about how to say this. It's not about waiting to make that decision so much as it is allowing space for that decision to breathe. So it's not a reactive type of thing. It's a, okay, let me sit with this. Let's let the emotional high pass and let's see how we feel after the fact. And if you have emotional authority, your clarity doesn't come from the moment. It comes from giving yourself time to feel all of your emotions first. And I mean, if you're in a pinch to make a decision quickly, because that it will come up, right? It takes 90 seconds for you to actually feel an emotion. Not saying that it only takes 90 seconds for this authority type, because they really do need more time. But get yourself to a neutral place, like, feel the high, feel the low. And when you find yourself, you're at a neutral place, trust that decision that comes through. Okay. So here's an example. Let's say someone asks you out on a date, and in the moment it's like, absolutely, yeah, like I'm so down for that. And then the next day, maybe it's like wait, do I even like them? And then 2 days later, it's like, yeah, actually, I do want to go out with them. So the best thing for this type of authority, the emotional authority, is buy yourself time. Like, you are a calm, confident, grounded starseed. You can create time for yourself. So in any situation, you could be like, Yeah, that sounds fun. Let me get back to you on that. Or you can even just call a spade and just be like, hey, I have an emotional authority type and I just need time to process this. Some people are going to get it, some people are not, and that's okay. I mean, it's up to you and who you're attracting and opportunities you're attracting in your life. And I am all about transparency personally, and so that's my vote, is just communicate, hey, I'm the type of person that needs some time to process or make a decision. And they'll respect that. So the main thing, it's about emotional neutrality. Like, you're going to feel the high, you're going to feel the low, but get to that space of emotional neutrality. Sometimes it'll take hours, sometimes it'll take days, but just trust, like, the bigger the decision, give yourself more time. Okay, next we have our sacral authority types, which are ruled by the sacral chakra for sure, and it's the gut response. And this is actually completely opposite from the emotional authority. So the ones with sacral authority are here for that instant, in the moment truth. It's just like the complete and radical self-trust, and their body will react with an absolute, like, this is an absolute yes, or this is an absolutely not. And one will feel like forward motion or expansive, and the other will truly be the opposite. It will feel like a lack of energy or a type of smothering, I guess you could say. So the thing to know if you are a sacral authority type starseed is the answer comes to you before your mind gets involved. And you deserve to trust that, like, my first response is my truth. Because the second you start explaining or justifying or thinking it through, you're already moving to out of alignment and creating a gap between your intuition and your higher self and what you as a starseed know is right for you versus what is out of alignment. So the moments the sacral authority type talks themselves out of it is when you're pausing too long, when you're second guessing yourself, when you go into your head, or when you're trying to be logical about something. And so I have a sacral authority type, and what I know based on what I've experienced is when I have felt something and not trusted the answer that came through, and again, tried to think through it and justify it or explain it to people, I do myself a complete injustice and disservice, because this is just how my body and like how my soul makes decisions. And so for you, starseed, if you have a sacral authority type, the biggest thing you deserve to know is you do not have to explain yourself to anyone, especially with this authority type. Like, for example, when it comes to dating, I am so clear on my absolute yeses and my absolute nos. And sometimes I don't even have a good enough reason to justify it. It's like on paper, everything makes sense, but like just in my body, it's an absolute no. And it took me many years to let go of the fact that I don't have to explain that to people, because at the end of the day, they're not the one making that choice. I am. So that's a rule of thumb for any starseed, but especially for sacral authority types. So, your truth, it's not something you need to think about. It's something you just trust, like your body knows. So again, think of the last time, and this is for any authority type, but think of the last time you made a decision opposite of what you felt. I'll use traffic as an example. Say you knew you should have taken a different road and you didn't, and then you ended up in like an hour-long stall or whatever it is. So I know you can identify examples of these, and honestly, drop some examples down in the comments. I would love to know some of your guys' experiences. But this is not like emotional authority types where they need to sleep on it or they could benefit from that. Sacral types do not need that at all. The longer you wait, the more distorted your answer gets, because this is about deep body-based knowing, and it's fast because it's correct. And so here's a fun question. Do you want a piece of chocolate right now? What did your body say? Was it a yes? Was it a no? My personal favorite. Do you feel like going out tonight? Does it feel like a clean yes or a clean no? It's just notice what your body did before your mind answered, okay? That moment is your sacral authority type answering. So personally, I have so much fun with my sacral authority type, but I also trust and understand and know that this is not how everyone makes decisions. And this is why I feel like it's so important, especially as a starseed, to know other people's authority types, because it gives you a space to honor their process. And that's it. That's point blank. So I wasn't going to talk about authority types for probably a few months, but my sacral was just like, no, it's time to talk about this. And I was thinking through it. I'm like, I don't know enough about this. Like I have to learn more. I have to have more personal examples. I could ask friends or family, like just my Virgo mind going and justifying all of these reasons I shouldn't do this episode yet. But at the end of the day, I'm like, the irony of me trying to talk myself out of my gut feeling for this episode is just too rich. And so I took my own advice and just went for it. And so, of course, sacral authority types, just trust your knowing, and please do yourself a service. You do not have to explain yourself or your gut feeling. Like, some people are going to go, why? Like, or, and I went through my own people pleasing era and whole list of explanations, and you don't have to. If they don't understand or whatever, like, that's their process. So that's probably another episode, is learning how to get comfortable with that. But for now, that's it on sacral authority types. So next we're going to do splenic. And splenic authorities, this is like their instinct and their intuition. So it's kind of similar to sacral, but this is not like a full body yes and a full body no. It's instant and it's quiet and it's intuitive knowing. So think of this as more of like a whisper, and it is like that subtle nudge or that like quick thought that comes and passes through, and it's the body itself feeling if this is safe or if this is not safe. And it happens once and then it's gone. So the thing I would recommend for these starseeds with splenic is trust that first quiet hit, because it does not repeat itself. And if you miss it, then, your mind may start jumping in and creating the noise. And a lot of people or starseeds misunderstand this and think okay, if it's real, it'll come back. That's actually how you, again, do yourself a disservice with your intuition. Splenic authority is immediate, it's subtle, and it's fleeting. And so what does correct decision or aligned decision making look like for this authority type? It's walking into that room and feeling like, I don't like this. Or it's meeting someone and it's like, no, I can trust them. You have you have no facts or figures based on that, but your body feels safe in that presence. And things that can the thing that you can best do is if you have splenic authority, your intuition speaks once, it's quiet, and your power is in trusting that answer before your mind talks you out of it. And this is similar to sacral in the sense of like, I'll use the dating example again. You can meet someone and you can be like, no, something's off. And you have no facts or any obvious red flags. And then there may be people or even yourself and your mind being like, no, you're being judgmental. Give them a chance. And then you go on that date and then you later realize that there was something that came up or came out. And, that's okay because this is part of the learning process. It's part of the human experience. It's learning that had you just trusted yourself and your inner knowing, maybe you wouldn't have had that experience, but also now you have something to base that gut feeling off of. So with splenic, your main things is present moment, safety, and alignment. So it's more of like, is this right now? Like, does this feel in alignment right now? And it's not about an anxious overthinking situation. Splenic authorities, they're highly attuned, they're body-based intelligence, and it's designed to keep them safe and aligned in the moment. And, if you think of a time where you had a quick instinct about something and you ignored it, what happened? So take that example for yourself and then just acknowledge like, yeah, no, this isn't it. Leave, or I can't trust that. But the flip side of it is true as well. It's like, I can fully jump in. I know I don't know the how, but I know it's going to work out. And this is quiet, but it's so clear. It is so clear. So splenic authority starseeds, just know that when you lean into that full radical trust of self, it just becomes easier and easier. And start with little things. Like if you're someone who has had to relearn self-trust or whatever your journey is for that, know that you can start with little things such as, does my body need water or coffee right now? It's like, okay, the mind may say coffee, but your body's probably going to say water, and build up from there and just trust that the little steps will create a lot of healing in that way. Okay, next up we have authority, number 4, and it's ego authority. So this is heart and will. And what I want to make so clear with human design, ego authority is not about like, the chitter chatter of the ego mind in the frankly negative connotation that the ego gets a lot. The ego's only job is to keep us safe and remind us and share past experiences that, hey, this thing happened and, we need to do XYZ to stay safe. That is not this, okay? People with ego authority, specifically, these starseeds are here to make decisions based on desire and willpower. It's not about intuition, it's not about emotions, and it's not about logic. The question they get to ask is, what do I want? That's it. What do I want? Imagine. And making a decision off of that. So these heart and will authority types, it lives in the heart and ego center. So it comes through as a strong sense of desire. It's I want that and I do not want that. And it's a pull for what they're willing to commit their energy to. And it has a very specific type of, I guess, flavor or energy, right? So it's like, do I have the energy and desire to go after this thing? Okay? Is it in alignment? Does it feel like a full, like, yeah, I do? Or, no. That's what these starseeds need to be asking themselves. And again, ego authority is about correct self-interest. So it's not about people pleasing, and it's definitely not about self-sacrificing. So the rule to live by, Starseed, is if I don't truly want it, it's a no. If I do, it's an absolute yes. So things that can pull you in, like out of alignment, is when it gets chalked up to being selfish. Like people are saying you can't just do what you want, or there are other outside sources telling you that you can or cannot do things a certain way. Then you override your authority by saying yes to things that feel out of alignment, or committing to things that you may not care about, or abandoning your own desire for others. Stop it right now. That creates resentment, that creates burnout, that creates a loss of self-trust. So you, as a starseed with ego authority type, need to own this fact of, do I want this thing? Do I have the will for this thing? Or am I willing to put energy into this? And that can be about anything. That can be about friend groups, relationships, moves, your job. If it's a clear, desire within you, it's a yes. And if it's not a clean desire, it's simply a no. So just leave it at that. And if you have ego authority, just know that your truth lives in your desire. If you don't genuinely want it, your body already knows it's not for you. So know that this is actually the most honest and authentic form of self-leadership there is. So something to sit with. Where in your life are you saying yes, but in your heart it's actually a no? Sit with that, whatever that looks like. And one thing to be aware of, consider others too, or, I know you as a starseed are always thinking about others. I get that. And I love that for you. But you're going to lose your power when you're making decisions based on others. This authority is all about recalibrating back to your sense of self. Does that make sense? Both can be true. You can be of service while honoring your actual decisions and heart-centered space and authority type. So that's all I have on the ego authority type. Next up, we have self-projected. So this is also known as G-center in human design, or identity. And that's just one of their systems. So people with self-projected authority find clarity by hearing their own truth through their voice. So it's not with thinking or waiting or the gut instinct. They need to actually talk it out. And this is one of those things where, if Starseed, if you have this authority type, if you have the self-projected, it often looks like, you're talking something through with a loved one, or, whatever. You're not even necessarily looking for an answer. You're just simply talking something through. And then all of a sudden the answer clicks. Okay. That is self-projected. Again, think of like a projector. You're speaking through it. And the thing you need to understand is you will not know until you hear yourself say it out loud. That's the whole thing. So the thing I don't want you to do though is, okay, so should I ask someone for advice? No, it's actually not about getting advice. What you need is that confidant or that sounding board that will give you that space to talk things through. And, you may even need to set that boundary like, hey, I just need to talk through this. Like, can you be my sounding board? Someone will say yes, of course. So the biggest thing too is if you don't have someone you're comfortable talking something through with, hit a record on your notes app or whatever app you want to use to record and just start talking into it. And, just literally free form talk for 5 minutes, set a timer and just talk. And you will surprise yourself that the answer will just come through. So what the best decision making looks like for you is if you feel unsure internally and you talk it out with someone you trust or on the notes app, as you speak, your truth will become more clear. And that truth will be like, wait, actually, no, that's not it. Like, that's not the vibe. Or on the flip side, like, actually, yeah, that feels right. Like, let me do that. So the best thing for you to do is, use your voice, talk through it, because if you're sitting there and say trying to silently meditate on it or overthinking instead of expressing it, or the worst one in my opinion is asking others what you should do. No, please do not do any of that. If you have self-projected authority, your truth comes through your voice. Like, you're not going to find the clarity through thinking or listening to what other people have to say. You find it by hearing yourself speak. Period. Point blank. Okay? So, for example, say you're deciding on a job and internally you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, it seems like it's a good job, but I don't feel excited. So say you call your friend and you're talking through it. Actually, like, when I talk about it, I light up more, or, wait, I actually feel like I already know. This is one of those things where it's actually really cool. This authority type, it can be so individual, but it's also like it includes others in a way that gives them the opportunity to serve, usually in silence, which can be a stretch for some people. A lot of people have an opinion probably about everything, and this is not one of those things. So with self-projected, like, just know that the right sounding board matters. And this needs to be someone who will give you the space, will not interrupt or project their opinions, and they're not going to try and fix and guide based on what they think is best, or, well, based on my experience. It's like, okay, that's great, but this is your experience, Starseed. So just know that your truth is revealed through expression, and using your voice is literally the compass. So trying to talk through a decision with someone who's going to interrupt you, you're not going to get the clarity you deserve. But notice, and I guess I would ask you to sit with this. And I'm sure you're already feeling or thinking of this as like, oh yeah, I've had the experience where, for example, say you've tried to talk through something with a friend who gave you the space and just listened, and you found that answer very clearly while you were talking through it. And the reverse is also true. So just know that this isn't about talking yourself into circles or like going to multiple people even and trying to get the same answer. It's not about that. It's about trusting that answer that came through when you spoke it and that clarity that emerged. That's the true alignment for this authority type, self-projected, okay? And the last thing I'll say about self-projected authority type is trusting that your voice holds the answers. Beautiful. And because, I'm assuming this is throat chakra, I genuinely love drinking tea. Drink tea, soothe your throat. If you find yourself coughing or lots of phlegm or losing your voice, those are all signs that you're experiencing a blockage. So definitely do things. Google how to unblock my throat chakra, and it will actually be easier for you as a starseed to come to these decisions and clarity. Okay, next up we have mental authority type, and they are also referred to as environmental and outer authority. So what that means is they don't get that internal answer. These authority types actually get their clarity from interacting with the right environments and externalizing their thoughts. So internally, it can maybe feel like this type of starseed is mentally active or full of thoughts or able to see multiple perspectives, but none of those thoughts are actually how the most aligned decision comes through. Even though you guys are amazing at like observing and analyzing and reflecting, this is not how the decision is made. So clarity actually comes over time through environment and not from the internal chatter. So the thing I want you to realize as a mental authority type is engaging in your environment is actually so vital. So this is also not just like, yeah, I will engage in my backyard. No, it's engaging in spaces that feel like expansive, or noticing, I guess, what the different vibe is for you in environments. So some are going to feel really expansive while others are going to feel incredibly constricting. You'll get that feeling of like, yeah, something feels off here, or, ooh, yeah, I like it here. It feels like really good. So your guys' process to come to clarity is you guys need to speak through it. You have to hear yourselves. And another big key is you have to be in different spaces. And this is really similar to the self-projected. It's not to get advice. It's simply to hear and feel. And you guys are the +1 of self-projected. It's you not only need to hear it, you need to feel it. And so sitting with something is great. Moving through different environments, talking it out with safe people, and notice where things feel most at ease. Like you're gonna feel really tense or rigid or just like something is off if the decision is out of alignment, right? And things like spiraling into these overthinking loops or grabbing onto someone else's opinion as the answer, or like self-isolating is probably one of the worst things you could do, because environment is key, and different environments for you. So if you have mental authority type, your clarity does not come from your thoughts. It comes from giving yourself time and space and the right, like, I don't want to say right or wrong, but different environments that feel in alignment with what's correct. Okay. So a really good example for this is, say you are going to move, and sitting alone with this in your room that you're thinking about moving out of, should I move or not? And then you're going to just like spiral and think yourself into oblivion of, okay, well, this. The best thing for you to do is go visit the city that you're thinking of moving to, or the apartment or the, house, whatever it is, go visit it, go be in that tangible space and feel what it feels like. If it feels constrictive, that's just information. And if it feels expansive, also really good information. And then talking this out with a friend and hearing these new perspectives, and if you go back and sit in your current space and it feels heavy after all these experiences, know that this is just like over time, you're gonna get clarity on one option feeling lighter or more aligned than the other. So the irony of this is, like, even though this is called mental authority, the mind is not the authority. It's the process, and it's how you guys experience the world around you. So it's more about the wisdom that comes through from getting the perspective and the environment. So think of it this way, like, have you ever left a place or a conversation and suddenly felt clearer about something? That's mental authority in action. And, it could even be as simple as, like, if you had a friend talking and saying, like, hey, like, come meet my friend at this coffee shop, and you guys go and you meet the friend, and you feel like you found a lifelong friend there. And it's because of the energy and the expansion that you feel. So one thing to be aware of is, let's just wait and see what happens. That's not the vibe for you guys. So for you, Starseed, you need to move and explore and engage with life. Like, think of it as this mental authority type. Like, they like mental stimulation and they need that interaction. And this authority type honestly should feel kind of excited about you guys. Like, this is how you get to make decisions, is engaging with life. And go talk to a tree about it. Like, go outside and talk through these things and engage and get your hands on things and get yourself into new environments, because that creates just ease for the answer to come through. So mental authority type, that's our second to last one. And last but not least, we have lunar authority. So they're also referred to as reflectors. And lunar authority type is actually really unique and really rare. You, Starseed, if you have lunar authority type, or if you have anyone in your life with it, you actually are here to make decisions over an entire lunar cycle, which that's absolutely fascinating to me when I first learned this. So this authority type is deeply tied to the rhythm of the moon. And if you don't know, the lunar cycle is every 28 days. Okay. So the point of this authority type is that clarity unfolds as you move through different phases of perspective. So if you think about what the moon does, which as it fills up from, 0 to 100 to the full moons we release. And then as it empties, we charge down and rest up. And then while it's a new moon, we create a new intention. And as it fills back up, we get more energy and momentum. So lunar authority types are really unique because these starseeds will experience things differently over time. They'll see situations from multiple angles, and they gain wisdom through reflection. So one day it's like, oh yeah, no, this feels right. And then a week later it can be like, oh wait, actually I just got information on something or a perspective I didn't consider before. And this is not about confusing them. It's just their process working correctly and how it's supposed to. So the best rule of thumb I could give this starseed is give it a full lunar cycle before deciding, especially for big life-altering decisions. And, you know, I know a lot of people are going to be like, that a full 28 days before making a decision, like, I can't live like that. So then they may rush. And what happens when this authority type rushes is they will miss key insights or feel unsure afterwards or begin to question themselves. And your truth is, as a lunar authority type, you are not designed for urgency. Like, you're just not. So accepting that is kind of the first step. And we'll touch on, okay, well, what if I don't have a full 28 days to make a decision? Hold that thought. So let's talk about what aligned decision making looks like for lunar authority types. So something enters into your awareness and you're going to sit with it, and then you're going to talk it out with other people, and then you're going to observe how you feel about that thing over the next few days or weeks. And then by the end of that 28 days, there's just going to be this deep sense of knowing, and it's not going to feel impulsive. It may not even feel exciting, but it is going to feel incredibly clear. And it's going to hold the energy of like, well, I've seen this from every angle and it feels right. That's when you know. The thing to watch out for is when you're feeling pressured to decide something quickly, or rushing into commitments, or regretting, something after you've made that decision. And the big one is not giving yourself enough space to reflect. So if you have lunar authority, your clarity truly does come from time, and you're meant to experience a decision across a full cycle before you fully know what's right. And what came to me while saying that is, I feel like whatever soul contract you made or whatever you chose for your birth chart, I feel like you created opportunity for yourself to be open to your spirit guides to provide answers for you and to show up for you in this life and whatever that looks like. So give them the time to show up. And something I want to circle back to, okay? You don't actually need to wait 28 days for every single decision, like, I don't know what to eat or what to wear, or everyday small decisions. The 28-day cycle really is especially reserved for the big, meaningful life choices. So the lunar authority, it's not slow or indecisive. It's actually the most expansive and wise decision-making process of all the authority types. Like, you are literally here to see and learn from and absorb what others cannot, simply because they won't take the time to. And I'm saying that as a sacral authority type. Like, there are other ways to fold in other authority types. Like, as a sacral authority, can I take a full lunar cycle to decide something? Technically, the answer is yes. As a lunar authority, can you make a quick, clear decision? Also, technically, yes. However, the point of these authority types is how to make the most aligned and intuitive and clear decision for you, period. That's what these are about. So again, lunar authority types, they're rare, and treat yourself as such. Like, honor your process. This is not something that you should take lightly, because it is a really involved process. But also, with that, honoring your process is such a beautiful and expansive way to get to know yourself and how you make decisions. So just know that that's that's the lunar authority type. And I think we've hit all 7. So with that, just know everyone's designed to make a decision differently, and the mind is not the authority for anyone. It's all about self-trust and honoring your way, not copying someone else's. So the biggest thing I want you to take away from this episode is that there is no one right way to make decisions. And I feel like we've all been taught to think our way into clarity, but in human design, clarity doesn't live in the mind. And that's why I love it so much, because it attunes to your natural decision-making process. And once I learned that, for me as a sacral authority type, I was like able to trust those gut insights without the reason. It made it so much easier to keep acting from that space. And that's what I trust that this episode did for you, is, giving you that reassurance that you can and absolutely are invited to begin practicing your authority type, because that knowing lives in your body and in your process and in your timing. And once you're aware of how you operate, it's such a rich and abundant reward that comes through. And I'm not even talking about like financially, though that may also be a contributing result. But this is really about, start practicing this authority type and notice your patterns. Notice where you're overriding yourself. Notice what it feels like when you're living from your truth and not someone else's. And the biggest thing is, it's not about getting it right or wrong or perfect or in alignment or not. Every choice you make is going to end in a result, right? Period. That's just a fact. The best thing you can do with that is knowing that this is all part of the human experience, and the point is to learn and to practice. And the more you practice these authority types, the more comfortable you'll get making decisions that are in alignment. And the more comfortable you get with that, the stronger your intuition gets, which makes it easier for you to make these decisions quickly. So with that, that's all I have for you today, Starseed. And I would love to know what authority types you have. So go ahead and drop comments and share this with your friends and family and learn what types they have as well, so you can all support each other in making the best and most aligned decision. Until next time. I'm so grateful you tuned in today. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. If you'd like to explore pieces that align with your starseed purpose, visit astrologyaesthetic.com. Trust yourself. You're exactly where you're meant to be.